Yo, what is up, Kings? I wanted to do a quick video detailing why I am a Christian. I have done a video like this in the past. However, it was more specifically regarding why I am an Orthodox Christian and kind of my pathway to becoming an Orthodox Christian. So, and then also, I have been asked in the comment section why, as a Christian man, why I've been asked two common questions. One is why I don't do more Christian related content, or like purely Christian content or theological type stuff. And two is, why is your channel not a Christian channel or a specifically Christian channel? So my response to that is, my channel is a Christian channel. I wouldn't say that it's a directly, purely Christian or Orthodox Christian channel. I'm kind of like Andrew Wilson in that it's a channel that is run by a Christian man who talks about topics from a Christian man's perspective. Okay, that's the best way to explain it. And the other thing is, I've always felt this way, but I really feel this way now as an Orthodox Christian. I think that is mostly reserved for what I would categorize as spiritual leaders, specifically church fathers, now that I am an Orthodox Christian. Maybe, philosophical, theological individuals like a Jay Dyer. I'm okay with that. Now, I'm okay with anybody having a Christian channel. It's not that I'm against it. It's just, for me specifically, that is why my channel is not a purely Christian channel. I think it's a extremely delicate balancing act when you're not literally a church father to have a channel like that. It can be done, but you're crossing terrain that is very delicate, to put it mildly. So, but it can be done, and I have people I know who do that, and it's totally chill. This is just, for me, how I see it. Okay. And I think I can make more of an impact doing it Andrew Wilson style by being a Christian man that talks about things that are going on in the world, topics that are highly discussed topics, and things like that. Okay. The other thing is, just to be frank with you, I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough to purely have a Christian channel, because as a pure Christian channel, you're going to receive a ton of pushback. I mean, you get a ton of pushback regardless, but it's your worldview, your arguments, your reasoning, your justifications are dissected, parsed through, the whole 9 yards, massively. Now, I am knowledgeable than most, I would say. I went to Christian universities. I've grown up as a Christian my whole life. I see myself as a fairly intelligent individual, but that's just not something that, at this point in my life, I have, for me, studied enough to feel confident enough to lay it bare and have anybody dissect it. But you could also make the case, and I think that this is a fair argument against that, which is, put it out there. That's what the internet is for. Put it out there. If people have other opinions and ideas and disagreements, use it to sharpen up your arguments and your ideas, which I agree with. But anyways, so my path to being a Christian, I have never not been a Christian. My grandparents are two of the most religious people that I have known in my entire life. My whole life, they have faithfully served God. My grandpa, he's from a smaller town. Well, I guess for certain standards, it's all relative based on the state that you're from. But like what I'm used to, I would consider it a small town. But for the place that he's from, I guess it would be like an average size city, if that makes sense. Like you get into some of the Midwestern states, and some of the towns are really like cities in that state, but comparatively, perhaps not. I don't know if that makes sense, and he was not raised Christian per se, but he met my grandmother, and she was a extremely Christian woman, and his pathway, and he has a very interesting story towards becoming a Christian. Maybe I would love to be able to interview. I wouldn't want to show his face, but maybe one of these days I can do an interview, and I think he has a really amazing testament. Now, obviously, we have a disagreement. They are Protestant. I am no longer Protestant, but still, with that being said, ever since I can remember, they have been Christians. I remember and been not just holiday Christians or Christmas Christians, but every Sunday Bible study, the whole fucking 9 yards, Christians. Sorry, I probably shouldn't have swore talking about Christianity, but we're not perfect. And I remember when I was little, there was, and I still have this memory to this day. I don't know how old I was, but I was definitely a little guy. And I remember we were talking, there was a trip that we were on, and we were talking about God. And it was illuminated to me that not everybody believes in God. And I remember the shock that I had as a little kid, because everything that I had known, I thought that everybody believed in God, that this was like an unmistakable fact, as much as the sun coming up in the morning, setting during the day, and then going away at night. And it was shocking to me, absolutely shocking. In grade school, no matter how involved in the church I was or was not, and to tell you the truth, growing up, I was not that involved in the church. I was always a Christian, and I defended God passionately always. But because of sports and, this too cool for school mentality, I did not go to church as much as I should have. And my dad, although he says that he believes in God, he seldom went to church for most of my life as well. When I was younger, he went to church with me sometimes, but as I got older, not so much. Now, with that being said, when I was in school, I would passionately defend Christian ideas and biblical teachings and things like that. From day one, I remember the first time, and I didn't go to a Christian school or private school. I wasn't homeschooled. From day one, the first time that I heard of evolution and the Big Bang, I think I was in 6th or 7th grade. From that moment, I realized it was nonsense, and I pushed back against it immensely. From that moment on, I started looking for arguments against evolution, against the Big Bang, and immediately I realized, as a young kid, or young coming into being a grown man, I distinctly knew that if evolution was true, and if the Big Bang was true, then it was likely that God was not true. And I knew that is why that argument and thought was created, was as a argument against the existence of God, against a intelligent creator. Now, now that I'm an Orthodox, I realize that maybe some of my arguments were not always the best, because a lot of the arguments that I found online were Protestant Christian arguments against evolution and the Big Bang. And as Jay Dyer points out, a lot of them, even though they come from Protestants, they think that they disprove evolution and the Big Bang and prove Christianity. They really don't. They might disprove evolution in the Big Bang, but they also don't prove Christianity. So disproving evolution and the Big Bang is one thing, but having a direct proof of Christianity, for the existence of Jesus Christ, is a matter entirely. But nonetheless, I would bring that to school, and my middle school science teacher would get so actually, you know what, he was a good sport. I was going to say he got so annoyed with me. I don't think that was true. I think looking back at it, he was actually probably thrilled to have a student who actually gave a shit and was curious about the topics that were being discussed and was willing to challenge ideas. So actually, to be honest, he was a good sport. And I remember one conversation I had with him. I distinctly asked him, or made the point, I said, teaching this to my peers, kids that are my age, to me is a cruel thing. Expecting them at the age of 12 or 13 to be able to judge and make a determination about whether evolution is true or God is true is not fair, and it's not right. Now, some of you guys, if you guys hear me say that, are going to say, well, damn, you must have been a cocky kid. The thing is, and you might be right. Maybe I still am, unfortunately, to a certain degree. But I think I've learned genuine humility as well. And again, a different topic, but there's a difference between confidence and cockiness, okay? The reason why I was like that, you guys have to understand, I was an extremely mature kid, okay? My mom and my dad were divorced. I lived with my dad, and I spent a lot of time around adults. My dad always talked to me like a adult. He did not do kid talk, baby talk with me. I was an extremely mature-minded kid. There were coaches of mine who would tell my dad that talking with your son, I feel like I'm talking with one of my buddies that is my age. And that was said to my dad numerous times. Matter of fact, I actually, in middle school, had trouble building genuine friendships with kids my age because of the difference in mindset that we were at. Okay, they still were very much in a kid, especially where I grew up, nurturing, more feminine mindset rather than a more male-minded adult mindset. So I just want to tell you guys that to say that that's why at that age I said what I said to the teacher. So this happened all the way through middle school, through high school. I would say in high school, maybe a little bit less because of the whole too cool for school. And, you know, I was starting to get tired of always having to defend God, and I was starting to resent having to do it so much, because I was just like, man, the world that I thought was not. Like I thought that the world around me was like me, very Christian minded, God minded, Jesus Christ, the whole nine yards, and it's not. It's the opposite. So I still would argue for the existence of God, but I would say I moved off of it a little bit in comparison to like middle school. And then again, I have never not been a Christian. I went to school, college, played collegiate water polo, as you guys know. I still was not going to church a lot or regularly. My worldview was continuously being challenged. Matter of fact, it was either, I think it was Andrew Wilson that I said this, which is the benefit, when I interviewed him, the benefit of going to a public school is, no, it was on, it's the guy that always donates to the Whatever podcast. And he's on Andrew's channel a lot, or Andrew comes on his channel. It'll come to me, but I was on his channel. I keep thinking Big Tech, but it's not Big Tech. It's anyways, I was on his channel, and I said that the one positive to going to a public school is that if you're a Christian, your worldview is constantly challenged. You constantly have to defend your worldview. So, Grid 1 Motorsports, that's what it is. So, and then I went to Christian universities after playing water polo, so that helped a little bit. And I would say my time there, sometimes I would have a resurgence back into regularly going to church, and then I'd stop, and then, and then keep in mind also, okay, I am not perfect. I very much have made the same exact mistakes as a lot of you guys have, trying all the cool kids stuff, being too cool for school. I have not been perfect, okay? And being an athlete as I was, and on top of that, already having a mature mind, even when I got to high school, I was around older kids, older girls, older guys, the whole nine yards. And so I was exposed to older kid things, if you catch my meaning. So I have not been perfect. And now that I'm older, it's crazy. Like everything, and I really came to this realization about 3 years ago. Everything that my parents, my grandparents told me, and everything that I know to be in the Bible is accurate. All the things that they warn you against, all the things that they tell you, stay clear of, stay away from, it's all accurate. But to specifically answer the beginning part of this video of why I am a Christian, the number one thing that I would always say to myself is this: the world that I see, the human beings, all of the creation that is on Earth, the organisms, everything is so intricate. It is, if you get down to the nitty-gritty of what makes up an organism, it is astoundingly detailed and unbelievable. And I always came back to the thought, especially when I learned about evolution and the Big Bang, there is no way, or at the very least, it's less likely than the other argument, that this happened on accident. There is no way that the human mind was created on accident. Now, people who believe in evolution and things like that will lead you to believe that it's not an accident, and it's been done over millions of years and it's been this meticulous gradual thing. Nonsense. Okay, there's the whole issue of transitional fossils. I mean, I can or the lack thereof transitional fossils, I can go step by step, but that was always the main argument. To me, it was always far more likely that, given the intricacy of all of creation that we see, it is far more likely that a intelligent designer created that than for this to happen from one accidental explosion. Okay, that is far less likely. The amount of steps that it would have to take to do that versus an intelligent designer is remarkable. So there's that. And then my whole life, anything that I have done that has been wrong or sinful, including something like premarital sex or something like that, I have always felt a tremendous guilt from doing it. And you could say, well, that's because of how you have been molded. That's how you've been nurtured and fostered. But to me, if something is not wrong, even if you've been molded a certain way, you wouldn't feel bad about doing it. You wouldn't know any better. But the fact to me that for not certain things, anything that I did that was wrong, I would feel this tremendous guilt about, to me, speaks to the fact that human beings have the Holy Spirit within them. Because now that I'm an Orthodox Christian, I know this. When you sin, you are moving away from God. That is what being sinful means. And so it logically follows that if you are doing things that move you away from God, then of course your Holy Spirit is affected. So those would be the primary two things that I would say that have always led me to Christ. And then just in general, believing in God has always given me tremendous comfort. And I know that there's probably secularists and atheists that would scoff at that and say, well, good for you. I mean, I guess if you're comfortable, and fair enough. But for what it's worth, it's the truth. And everybody goes through extremely dark circumstances. And could I have gone through them without God? Maybe. But having God and being able to pray and read the Bible and talk to other people who believe in God has made it so much easier. A tremendous blessing. So that's the short of it. I might do a part 2 on this. I only have a minute left to record this. As you guys know, I have limited phone space on my phone, or storage space. So we're going to stop it there. I might make a part 2. I hope you guys enjoyed this recording. And of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share. You guys know the drill. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow. And facts are feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you, King. See you guys next time. Christ is King. Peace.